The reservation numbers for the Tesla Cybertruck that was unveiled last week are pouring in. Here's the final check, at least the current one from Elon Musk, 250,000, a quarter of million reservations, and people going like, wow, that is a lot of reservations. This thing is going to do really, really well. Well, let's talk about it, because I think that may just not be the indicator for how well the truck is going to sell. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's time to even tell how it's going to do. And I was at the unveiling last week, as you've probably seen several of the videos that I've had. I was pretty much the first YouTuber to post the inside of the truck video. So thank you for watching that and going, like, I guess it was top 20 trending on YouTube. So thank you for making that happen. And by the way, if you want to see more behind the scenes pictures and videos from the unveiling and from the other events that I go to, you can follow me for Electric on Instagram. Okay, but let's talk about the reservation number, because a lot of times they are pretty misleading, especially when it comes to Tesla. And let's talk about the Model 3, right? The Model 3 reservations were pouring in, people were standing in line, I remember, right? Like, get it? I was one of them, and they went for up to 500,000 reservations were at some point. But then we actually ended up seeing what converted and what didn't. Now I should mention that they were allowing 2 reservations, and a lot of people had, so maybe 500,000 number should have been maybe 350,000 or whatever. There were a lot of people also canceling once they found out they couldn't have the $35,000 version from the very beginning, or it didn't match their car buying trends and stuff like that, right? So a lot of people ended up opting out of the queue, but some people actually ended up being in the queue. But from the numbers that Elon himself revealed every time he did the shareholder meeting or the quarterly results, it was pretty clear that they were not selling too many of those Model 3s that they were selling to the reservation holders. I think the number was like 25% at some point and 10% at some point. So majority of people who bought the Model 3 were never part of the reservation list. And I think a lot of us, including myself, put $1,000 down just to be in the queue, just to know, hey, if at some point I won this car, I don't have to wait in line, right? I would have to just call Tesla and my car would be ready right away. Now, we all found out that that's not how it works either, because first of all, it depends where in the world you are. I mean, people in some parts of the world are just receiving their Model 3s now and, this year. So that the location made a difference, but also what kind of configuration you want out of your Model 3 also made a difference. They only came up with a $35,000 version this year. I think it's $35,400 now, and it's only off the menu. So people found out that, being a reservation holder is not like standing in line at the bank. You're not going to get serviced once your actual line place in line gets to the window. And so I think this is also affecting people, maybe not as many people reserving. They're saying, once I have to say that I was thinking about it as well. I was thinking like, well, by the time the truck comes out, I'm going to see maybe a friend has a reservation, or maybe they're going to have some of the, in the showrooms or the inventory and stuff like that. Now, I did reserve one myself. I didn't reserve 2. I reserved one myself, but I right now have no intention of actually buying it. I just did it for the sake of having a reservation to make sure if I want this in my garage, I will have a chance. But even then, it's, let me know in the comment section, by the way, if you reserved one or if you didn't reserve one. Actually, Eli Burton of My Tesla Adventure, who is a regular guest here on the show, huge Tesla fan, did not reserve his, right? So it's interesting how it works. But let's talk about a couple other things. And by the way, I am advertising reservations of the Byton M-Byte on this channel because I think it is important to get in there. And of course, they're going to have their own ways how they're going to handle it. But I think it's a crime not to, because actually they're charging $0. Unlike anybody else, to make a reservation takes about 30 seconds of your time. So you can do so by going to the description of this video. So whenever Byton is available in your area, you can have one, of course. So I'm looking forward to mine. Now, let's talk about a couple of things. Now, I think the most important thing about seeing how this reservation queue tells us about whether or not this truck is going to be successful, the jury is not out on that, because I don't know if people are looking at this car as an exotic type of a car, a half tank, half car in their garage that they want to have, or they're actually looking at it as a pickup truck, right? I just don't know. Also, let me know in the comment section if you think it's a pickup truck, or do you think if it's just a little mini tank that people will love to have, love to look different on the street, on the road. So I think that's important, because if people are going to think about it as a pickup truck, obviously the reservation queue, I would assume, should be much higher. Another thing, and this is very different from what Tesla Model 3 reservations were. They were $1,000, and for the Tesla Model Y, as you probably know, it's $2,500. This one was only $100, and literally, unless you're broke, like, unless you're really, really broke, there's no reason for you not to give Tesla $100, and it's fully refundable. It doesn't really matter if it's your savings account or Tesla savings account. It's not like you're, earning like super big interest from your Wells Fargo, Chase, or whatever bank you're shopping with. So why not, right? That's why I did it. I was like, oh, it's $100. If it was $1,000, I wouldn't do it, actually. And I know a lot of people who probably wouldn't do either. But for $100, sounds like almost free, right? And again, the only free one is over there. But so I would take this with a grain of salt. I would take this sort of, we can compare it to the Model 3. I think that's the only one that we can compare. And I gotta tell you, you can look at it from different ways, right? You can say, hey, listen, it's just as popular as Model 3, at least as many people are interested enough to give at least $1, right? To be on the reservation, take their time to create a reservation. But on the other hand, you can say, well, this should be, and you can say, like, hey, listen, people thought it was ugly, no one's going to buy it, but look, all these people are interested. Or you can say, hey, listen, this doesn't mean anything. When push comes to shove, we got to see what Rivian's going to offer, what Ford's going to offer, what GM's going to offer. There's Bollinger as well. Like, there will be competition by the time Tesla comes up with us. And there wasn't much competition for the Model 3, right? I don't really even think there is one right now, although Polestar and a couple of other brands are out there, probably going to compete in the next couple of years well with the Model 3. So that's my view on this, and which is, don't rush to judgment as far as the reservations are concerned. These are not the people who might actually get it, and the question is, will people be interested to get this truck even if they are not on the reservation list, like what happened with the Model 3? So, by the way, if you're wondering why this video is live, because it is. It's on the Patreon. You can watch it for it's a perk for my Patreons. Thank you so much for supporting me, and one of my latest Patreons, Joey. Thank you so much for joining my community. I'm a full-time YouTuber, and this is how I pay for my food. So I appreciated that, and sponsors. So I really appreciate you guys participating, and you're the first ones who get to see my my content. Also, don't forget that in the description of this video you can also find a link to my VIP list. It's very easy to sign up. It's free, and we send you a bonus story every Saturday. A cool electric car story that we just couldn't fit into the videos that I do every day, or on our website efoelectric.com. So check that out in the description of this video. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.